Hey everyone, Ali Reza here, back with a new episode of Iran Tech. So in the very first episode of the program, we showcased a simulator in a way. Even though it was a legitimate tool for surgery, it also allowed the doctors, the robotic telesurgery system, it allowed the doctors to simulate the surgery environment before actually carrying out the surgery and to have to deal with the consequences. It allowed them to practice and make mistakes and learn from their mistakes. Just a couple episodes before this one, we also showcased another simulator, a 3D human anatomy simulator, which also allowed medical students and surgeons to really examine the human organs from close up, which also helped them to kind of practice the surgery before actually carrying it out. Now, those were just a couple of examples in the medical field, but of course simulation exists in every field that you can imagine, and it allows everyone in their respective field, the professionals, to test out the thing, to practice the thing that they're actually going to do in real life without having to worry about the consequences if they mess up. It allows them to learn from their mistakes. But of course, like I said before, simulation is not just limited to the field of medicine. It can be applied to everything from surgery to driving, because yes, having a driving simulator such as this can be beneficial for a lot of people. For example, just off the top of my head, driving newbies who are just getting their license and they have a fear of driving, they can really benefit from having a driving simulator. But also experienced drivers who've been in a horrifying accident and now they have a phobia of driving. This could remove the consequence of driving for people who have a fear of driving, because yes, a lot of people have a very legitimate fear of driving, honestly, because as a favorite comedian of mine once said, let's not pretend that driving is normal. Humans were not designed to be moving this fast. We're sitting at a steel cage that is going 100 miles per hour and it weighs a ton. So it's basically a death machine if you look at it from a specific angle, which is it's a very legitimate fear for a lot of people. But not just for people who are just learning how to drive for the first time, or even experienced drivers driving inner city cars. That is one category of driving simulators. But there's also like bus driving simulators like this one. And also, I don't know, people who are trying to operate a dump truck for the first time, they can also benefit from being in an environment in which there's no consequence for operating a machine of that scale, because dump trucks or heavy-duty trucks, they're pretty big, right? So the tiniest of mistake can be really costly for them and for everyone around them. So having a simulated environment, having a driving simulator to practice these dangerous jobs is almost essential. So today we came to Nasir Driving Simulator Company to check out some of the driving simulators that they have here, from sedans, motorcycles to heavy-duty machines like buses and dump trucks, to check out how their driving simulators is helping the target demographic of each category. Dr. Ali Nahvi is the director of the virtual reality lab of this project and a professor at the mechanical engineering department of K.N.Toosi University of Technology. And I wanted him to explain to me the different categories of simulations that you do here and some of the target demographics of each of these categories.
Here at Virtual Reality Laboratory, we do all sorts of simulation and we focus on driving simulation. We simulate driver behavior, and also we do simulation for driver assistance systems, and which can be used for autonomous driving.
And what about the different categories of these simulations for like heavy-duty cars, buses, or whatnot?
We apply these simulations for sedans, for buses, for regular trucks, for dump trucks in mines, and bicycles, and also motorcycles. Right now, we qualify and train bus drivers in Tehran. All drivers who want to become a member of Tehran bus company, they should be trained in the bus simulator here, and they also pass some courses. We have both initial qualifying training and also practical training. So the initial qualifying training is for those drivers who want to start working for the Tehran bus company, and the practical driving is repeated every 5 years.
So I think now would be, thank you very much for the information. I think I have all the information that I need, and I think now would be the best time for me to just go and check out one of these driving simulators for myself and see how realistic they actually can be. Doctor, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
This is the simulator for a typical intercity sedan. Safety first, by the way. Whoops. Yeah, don't talk and drive, but you know, for the purposes of this program, we kind of have to. So this is meant to replicate not a specific car model, but it's meant to replicate the average car that you will find in a city. So all of the specifics, the specifications of a typical car are given to the simulator, which involves the torque of the car, the I don't know, the top speed, the diameter of the wheels, and all sorts of other specifications that you will find on a car. And it gives you feedback based on how you're driving, what gear you're in. If you crash, there's a shaker inside the seat that reacts to the crash, and also if you like shift the gear badly or whoops. Yeah, don't do this. Don't do what I'm doing if you're actually going to be using this thing. And you might be thinking, okay, so this is meant for green light. This is meant for people who are trying out to get their driver's license, and you would be right, but that's not all of the use case scenarios for this simulator. Another use case scenario is that because all of the specifications are customizable for the simulator, you can actually make it replicate any type of car model that you want. So if a car, for example, has the horsepower is 150, you can specify that in this simulator. If the horsepower is like 300, you can also specify that. And the use case for that is that companies could want to have a simulator for the cars that they are making or the cars that they have made to see how it reacts in, for example, different scenarios, different weathers. For example, I can actually, I can flip the switch and now it's a snowy environment. If you can get a shot of that, this is a snowy environment and the car reacts differently. So a car company might want to get the specifics of, or give the specifics of the car model that they have to this company. They will program it into the simulation, and the car would react based on the specifications that you've given them. So that's one other use case other than just teaching newbies, but there's also another usage for having this simulated environment, and that is when we're talking about self-driving cars, it would be really expensive for us to actually bring our self-driving car into the real world, and if it's not acting the way it should be, it could be really costly for everyone involved. Yikes. It could be really costly for everyone involved, so we can actually simulate the self-driving car in an environment, in a simulated environment, and for example, run two simulated cars, two self-driving cars in the simulation and see how they will react. So there are numerous use cases for this simulator, and I just mentioned a couple of them, but I also want to check out another simulator that they have, which is the bus. So let's go ahead and do that now. Now, I've already driven a car before, so driving a simulator for a regular sedan wasn't really a new experience exactly, but this one is supposed to simulate a heavy-duty vehicle such as a bus or a dump truck, for example, and I was surprised to find out that, yeah, they're actually quite different from your normal car to drive. Now, that might not be shocking revelation to you, but it kind of was for me. So, the difference is, I'm going to talk about the major difference here. So, whereas in a normal car, your disc or like you have brake discs, and that is the way that you would, brake down a slope. If there's a slope and you're driving down a slope with a heavy-duty vehicle such as a bus, you can't just rely on the brakes, the disc brakes, to slow you down. You also have this unique mechanism here, which is called a retarder, and this basically acts as an engine brake, a decelerator, not exactly a brake, because just a brake, your simple disc brake, doesn't cut it in this scenario. So you have to have like a unique mechanism to be able to brake these heavy vehicles, especially down a slope. So they are decelerators. And of course, the inertia, the reason for that is that the inertia for these heavy-duty vehicles is so high compared to your regular sedans that a regular brake doesn't cut it. And of course, if for example, we're talking about simulating what it's like to drive a bus, well, the length of a bus is definitely something that takes some getting used to. Whereas, yeah, it definitely takes some getting used to. So these simulators can really help newbie bus drivers or people who are trying to get licensed to operate a heavy-duty vehicle. This definitely helps. Before I kill more people down this line, yeah, I think we should cut it right here before I kill more people. I'm never going to be a bus driver. So yeah, there is that. But it was fun though, running over people. Maybe I shouldn't say that. Anyways, I'm going to stop talking now. Now, of course, a lot goes on behind the scene to make this driving simulator function the way it does. A lot of different sciences need to come together, and to elaborate on the interdisciplinarity of this project, Alireza Zarezadeh, the senior engineer here, is going to help me out. So Alireza, take it away.
ما در واقع توی این شرکت گروه‌های مختلفی داریم با تخصص‌های مختلف که در واقع پشت صحنه ران کردن این سیمولاتورها هستن. ما از علوم شناختی، مهندسی مکانیک، مهندسی الکترونیک و مهندسی نرم افزار استفاده می‌کنیم برای اینکه یک حس واقعی سواری به اپراتور خودمون بدیم، به راننده بدیم. مثلا برای اینکه راننده کاملا حس کنه که توی محیط رانندگی و در واقع تصویرها با اکشن با عملکرد راننده همزمان باشه، ما باید بتونیم که قطعات مکانیکی، سیگنال های بورد های الکترونیکی و در واقع نرم افزارمون کاملا با هم هماهنگ باشن تا بتونیم به صورت ریل تایم اکشن های راننده رو روی نرم افزار و در واقع فیدبک های نرم افزار رو روی عملکرد راننده اعمال کنیم.
Thank you very much, Alireza, for the information. Let's wrap up the show. So a couple takeaways that I had from my experience in this episode. Number one, which I already kind of knew, but it was confirmed in this episode, I'm not a good driver. I knew that, but it was confirmed today. But number two is that now I have a little bit more sympathy for bus drivers, because I was behind the simulator for like 15 minutes and already my feet hurt, and because you have to be so much more vigilant as a bus driver compared to like a sedan driver that I just couldn't take it. So now I understand a little bit more. I'm a little bit more sympathetic towards bus drivers who are not always in the mood, because yeah, it's a lot more difficult to drive a bus than a regular car. And now I have a strong urge to go and dust my old wheel and play some Gran Turismo on my PlayStation. So while I go and do that, I bid you all adieu. Thank you for watching another episode of Iran Tech. I'll see you all next time.